you can guess, I have to wash my hair, but I don't know if I'm going to do some exercise today. So I'm pondering the situation. And I just wanted to talk to you a bit about the books that I'm currently reading, or some of them. This one, I looked for it, and unfortunately it does not seem to have an English translation, and I'm talking about Los Medicis by Lorenzo de Medici. So have you seen Medicis, the series? It has 3 seasons. I began watching last year during the holidays. Well, from some things that I've been researching and some things that come up to me through the internet, I began to be curious about this family, the Medicis, and I watched the series when I knew about the existence of the series, and I loved it. I just finished it last week or something, so I took my time, as you could understand. It's few episodes for season, so I think it's like 8 or something for each season, and I absolutely loved it, and I wanted to know more about the Medicis. They are an Italian family. So since the 12th century till nowadays, it still exists branches of the most known family. Okay, and one character that is the most known is Lorenzo de Medici. He is known by the Magnificent. He was the most famous one, and perhaps the most, maybe not the most, but one of the most researched and talked about personality or person that existed and made part of history. It's not this one, this Lorenzo. This Lorenzo is of the branch of the Medicis, but he's still alive, so it's not a Lorenzo of the Renaissance. The Lorenzo the Magnificent is from the Renaissance. Well, he made basically the Renaissance, if we consider it, because he patronated a lot of artists in many arts, and Renaissance, so. But this Lorenzo is from today's age. He's one of the branch of the Medici family, and this book in particular is an overview of the origins and some principal personalities that were important through the dynasty of the Medicis. So this is being a good introduction. So this is the Medicis, our history, if I translate it like literally. I'm sorry I'm showing you a book that doesn't have an English translation, but if you wonder, this is a Portuguese translation because the original is in Spanish. I'm on page 118 or 118. I'm taking my time with this. Not because it's dense or anything, it's really kind of fluid and easy to read. He doesn't take too long in any particular personality or person that he talks about of this family. But I think this I made a good choice to start with this book. I will leave the cover of the Spanish original book in the screen. If you want to see another show, another series that is regarding another Medici, is the Queen Serpent, or the Serpent Queen, I'm sorry. And that one talks about Catherine of Medici. She was Queen of France and she was regent. Of course, that series is a bit, is a lot fictionalized, so you have to take it with a grain of salt, of course, or a lot of grains of salt, because it's exaggerated, but not because I know the whole history of Catherine de Medici, but from what I heard historians compare what was her story and the series, of course, it is, exaggerated. But she is one of the, one that came after Lorenzo de Medici the Magnificent, or Lorenzo the Magnificent. She was one of the best known and more popularity, perhaps, because she ruled France, basically, and she had a lot of children, sons and daughters, and she married them with other princes and princesses of the European monarchy. So this is the first book of my list, because yes, I have a list of books that now I want to read about the Medicis, and I don't know, maybe after I read everything that I want to read, of course this is in long term, I will watch the series again, who knows, because I just love the series. It's so great. So this is one of them. Then a reading that I didn't put as currently reading on my Goodreads. If you want to check it out, you are welcome to. Is that I'm reading the Iliad by Homer. So I'm reading, of course, a Portuguese translation. This is from a translation by, Frederico Lourenço, and he is a professor here in Portugal, in the city of Coimbra. He translated it from the ancient Greek, and as he also has translations from the Bible. But yeah, I'm reading parallel to this edition that is also an adaptation for, young readers of the Iliad by Frederico Lourenço. So this is, as you can see, this is in verse, right? The Iliad. And this adaptation, as you can see, is very short because it has to be consumable for young people. But I think I needed some help, so of course I acquired the middle grade version as well. So this is in prose, as you can see, and this tells the story in a more digestible way, as I was saying. And so I'm reading this one and reading the Iliad at the same time. Of course, there's a lot of talk about the translations, if it is more, or I mean, trying to do the metrics right, so the translator has to figure out the words to do the metric of the verse right, or if it is more to be similar to the meaning of the verses. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that this Portuguese edition, it's or Portuguese translation, I mean, it's more of regarding the meaning of the verse. I'm finding this is helping me a lot, so I start with this first and then I go to the original per se. But I'm finding this quite fun because there's a lot of references. As you perhaps have watched, if you are my age, you have watched Troy with Brad Pitt, and that is a story that is present in the Iliad, and so many things are different. Of course, I'm not okay, but so many things about the mythology, the Greek mythology, are around our lives and the stories we tell each other and the stories authors write or stories that you hear about. Is everywhere. It's so fun to arrive to that. So yeah, now I'm going to have coffee and then I shall see what I want to do next.
One day later.
Welcome to my Salamandra living room. I wanted to talk to you about something that I was talking about on Instagram with Jay. We were talking about learning languages and I wanted to share this with you. And I show Jay this book right here. So let me put it in the light. This is more like a exercises book of Spanish. So this is one of the main languages, or the first languages that I want to improve on. Of course, as I speak Portuguese and Spanish and Portuguese are quite similar because they have the same origin, so they are Latin languages. Spanish is one of the languages that I want to first invest in. K-dramas, So this is A1 and I'm still at the beginning. I would say that if you don't have any knowledge of the Spanish language, I would say this is not for you, because this is right on. Of course, you have to do some research, but as I was saying to Jay in the messages that I shared with him, I think that there isn't a congruency between the explanation that is given and then the exercises that they provide for you to do. So there are some exceptions to the rules that they explain in the theory. So, and if you are not really knowledgeable in some capacity about Spanish or the language Spanish, I don't think you will be able to connect the dots. So as I speak Portuguese, it's more easy for me, of course. I have some sounds and some words in my vocabulary and that I retained in my brain. And now I want to invest more and see more movies in Spanish, see more series. I have already some books that are from Spanish writers and that I want to read. Of course, that I want to make a point here, an asterisk, that I want to learn European Spanish because for practical reasons I think it's the more logical and the more pragmatic way, because they are our neighbors, right, in the Iberia Peninsula. So Spanish is one of them. So as you can see, here is the book that I chose to begin in Spanish. This is A1, as I was saying to you, and I'm going to show you a bit inside. And this is grammar. So as you can see, from in the left side we have a bit of an explanation with examples, and on the right side we have an exercise sheet. Here is another example. This is singular and plural. As you can see, explanation on the left, exercise sheet on the right. And something that I'm finding that is helpful or I'm trying to do at the same time is that in the explanation part it's already given some vocabulary, so I'm trying to put in a different notebook some things that I want to remember. I want to begin to pass this information and see more exercises on the internet or so in a notebook specifically for Spanish. So there you go, this one. I forgot, sorry. I have also this one. I bought a few years ago. This is Spanish for Dummies. Those type of collections, you know what I'm talking about. This is in Portuguese. But something that I didn't realize about this is that is said in the introduction to this book. This is Spanish from Latin America, and I wanted European Spanish, but it's Spanish. So I'm going to study from this one as well. But I really didn't start so much, or I was just in the introduction. This is a bit of history about the language. But every material is useful, so I'm going to use this one. So just to let you know, if you perhaps know this collection, Something for Dummies. So there you go. But I also want to learn other Latin languages such as French, Italian, not all of the Latin languages, sorry. Not all of them, but okay, so Spanish, French, Italian, and then I want to learn German. I would really love to get on it. I find that, it's a bit daunting because it seems to be a quite hard language to learn. And yeah, of course, the obvious, I want to improve in English or on English. I don't know which preposition is the better one or the best. So, I consider myself intermediate, although lower intermediate in English, but I do a lot of mistakes speaking and writing. I have to, of course that I say this, but I'm not consistent in my studying. So in my study, I mean, I should write more often. I should go to the books that I already have from school. And I even took a course, for you to know. I took a course in English. I was 23, I think. So I got a diploma, but you know, for B1.1, yay. You know, I want to improve, and I think I'm at the plateau intermediate, you know, that I can't pass through that. But of course, I have to beat myself up because I'm not consistent. I don't have discipline in my schedule to block hours or 1 hour or half an hour to study English, and I have to start doing that. Although in the videos, of course, I edit a lot, you know. So, and still I let mistakes pass because I wouldn't do anything else than correct and put notes and put asterisks in the screen to correct myself, because I make mistakes all the time. And I want to be fluent. I want to speak, of course, speak like a native. It's really hard, but I want to get close to that. That's my dream, you know.
This one is the manual for the course that I was talking to you about that I did for English. So as you can see, this is a copy. They didn't even give us a original manual. I don't know why, because we paid for the course and I was expecting a bit more of delivery in terms of service. Not that I was unsatisfied, but at the same time, like for instance, in the middle of the course we have to switch teachers, and at least me and another student there didn't really enjoy it or like it because the difference was exponential. We were very well with the first teacher. We were in a good pace, although slow, but for us it was what was necessary. And she was really fluent and explicit in English. And we thought that the second teacher had more trouble speaking in English. Not that she wasn't fluent or anything, but you know, they were different. And you get used to someone and then switch, and they didn't give us a real reason. They just said for personal reasons or something. We don't know. So, well, moving on. This, as you can see, I have the chapters enumerated, and in here I also have grammar, vocabulary bank, communication bank. So it's well loved, but I have to come back to this manual. So for you to have an example, this is, you know, this is more for adults. As you can see, the way well, I don't know if it had color. I suppose it would have if it was the original, of course, but as you can see, this has some vocabulary, quizzes, and I want to show you here at the back. So the irregular verbs. So now here is grammar. As you can see, I didn't even remember this. I did some studying, I suppose, because this is all doodled down. But I have to come back to this, and do a real study about it and redo exercises. And let me just check vocabulary. So there you go, some vocabulary. And this is upper intermediate student's book with activity or active book, that is this one. But I'm sorry, before I said I got the certificate for B1.1, but no, I had the certificate for B1.2. So lower intermediate, but a step above inside the lower intermediate. But we were studying for the upper intermediate. I think that you really have to, well, if you want to begin somewhere, I think that's great. But perhaps a self-study and then doing classes online. At least that's my idea. I'm going to try to come back to this, remember stuff, see if I can apply in my videos to be more eloquent. That was what I was going to say. But yeah, so bye. So that's a bit of a chat about some objectives that I have in terms of language learning, and I wanted to share this objective with you. Along the days and the weeks going by, I'm going to share with you my progress, I hope. I'm going to try to be consistent, and I'm talking to you about this so that I have a compromise. You are my excuse to have a compromise with myself. Yeah. But I hope, let me know if you are interested in learning languages, if you speak several languages, and if you do, tell me which ones and how you study. Let me know all your strategies, because they will be really helpful for me, or to me, or see, I don't know. 2 or 4. Which one is it? I don't know. Oh, and something that I want to share with you, there is a YouTube channel from a young woman that I really enjoy, that I'm trying to see all her tips, because I think she has an approach to learning language that is more realistic. She's not like, learn French in 2 weeks. Like, okay, she's more, my opinion, okay? So perhaps there are people that can do it. I'm not one of those, or one of them, but she's called Elise da Vega. I am going to leave her channel linked down below. I love her. She has templates on Notion that she sells. They are quite inexpensive, for I think, or at least with a just price. She last summer made the sale for a combo of 2 templates on Notion. I haven't started using. One is resources, so that's really helpful, and the other one is more like a template for you to track your progress. But she recently launched a template that is like a upgrade, a 2.0 or 2.0 type of situation of her handy materials to study. So if you want to check her out, please do so. I really advise you. She is also on Instagram if you want to follow her there. I'm going to link both of these, her Instagram and her YouTube channel, if you want to check her out. She's I think quite great. And she was in Portugal a few weeks ago. It was quite nice for something to do regarding her own life, something that she does. She loves traveling, so there you go. and she speaks like 7 languages or so. And now she's American, but she's living in Berlin nowadays. She moved recently. You know, she's my aspiration. Yeah, well, there you go. If you are in the journey of learning languages, share with me and share with all of us your journey and how you came to be whatever level you are in whatever language. Share with us. I would really love to hear from you. I don't know if I'm going to say goodbye because the last clip that I did, so the first clip you saw, was really big or really long, and this one is coming up to the same thing. So I don't know if I'm going to stay right here because for this week I think that's all I have to share with you. Don't mind the mess, okay? This is my well, you know, okay, you understand. So if I don't see you in a moment, I will see you next week.